What is up, everybody? It is Scott with Friday Night AV and Scott from Living It with Scott Cat podcast. By myself this morning. Sorry about the time frames, got totally screwed up. Happy New Year, by the way. I was originally hoping to be on live last night for this, but we just got back from Vegas and we ended up getting back a little bit later than what we thought. And then when I reset the time for this morning at 8 a.m., I did it while I was out in Vegas. So that really set it for 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So it's been a huge pain in the ass. But for a lot of people, end up probably watching this later just because there was so much confusion with the time. So unfortunately, like I said, we got back later than what we thought. And then when I did reset the time, we were in Las Vegas, which is a different time zone than we are. So that really set it for 10 a.m. So for the people that got confused or were waiting last night or this morning, I do apologize about that. So Edward, good morning, brother. Thanks for joining in. This has been an anticipated podcast for myself, and I know for some other enthusiasts. This is episode 13. It is Saturday, January 6th, which was supposed to take place on Friday the 5th. So here we are, still doing this as a hobby. So there are some mistakes, unfortunately, not a professional yet, but maybe a few years down the road I will be. So title of this episode, Base Brings Us Together 2024, which is my annual event. So we're going to be going through a few things on that. Just want to remind everybody that next week I have Dylan from Buckeye Amps. He will be on with me next Friday night back at our original time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, talking a lot of stuff with Dylan. He's the owner and engineer for Buckeye Amps, and we'll be hanging out with him for an hour or so, answering a lot of questions, going over some things, some new products, some old products, just stuff that he has going on. Very intriguing to me. Class D power, I was always old school about power, and now over the last couple of years, certainly got into some Class D myself. So we will dig deep in all that next Friday night. So if you guys get into that. So for Base Brings Us Together this year, it's my 4th annual event. I host a lot of smaller events, like 2 or 3 people or 4 people randomly throughout the year. But every year for at least the last 4 years, I've hosted large events where we first started out with around 40 people, then we bumped it up to 50 people. And this year, only because we felt terrible about like declining people, like, hey, sorry, we're over capacity. You know, it's hard to deal with so many people coming into your home. That we're adjusting the times a little bit, that we're going to try to fit 60 in this year. Because we had to turn away quite a few last year, and we did feel bad about it. So completely free event, just kind of like paying it forward, let's say, to just the hobby that's brought me a lot of joy throughout my whole life. So I like to just host one big event every year that brings everybody in, get to hang out, talk the hobby, have some food, have some drinks. Everybody just kind of meet and chat with each other. So like I said, I started that a couple years ago. When I started, I had a bunch of clip stuff like the Ultras and that, and then then we went SVS and then PSA, and then last year and this year's the JTR stuff. So a lot of friends of the hobby have traveled along with me through this journey, and just having fun and trying to share my love with everybody for the hobby. So so this year again, it has been confirmed that Michael Steven, Youthman, will be flying in, hanging out with me for probably a couple days. He'll stay here, and what we're going to broadcast either on his channel or my channel or that, we haven't really got into many details about that. It's certainly more about the guests that are here and hanging out. I'm certain that one of us will share some more details or some live events through one of our channels, or maybe through both of our channels. That isn't the main focus of this. This is, like I said, the main focus is kind of just hanging out with everybody that's here. But we will be sharing some stuff with the people that can't make it. Just not exactly sure what that's going to be yet. I'm sure Michael and I will chat about that. Also this year, be welcoming Ryan from Ascend AV, buddy of mine now. Also Youthman is co-partner in Mwave. So those two guys put together Mwave, and they run that show now every year. So they will both be in attendance this year. So that'll be cool for the people that want to meet or hang out with them. I'll have Tony from GTR will be here, and Mark, Mark G is always at my events, and I'm at his. Also Nick, that does projector calibrations for Mwave. He will also be in attendance. Another good buddy of mine. We just all did our holiday podcast together like 2 weeks ago, so those guys will be in attendance. Every year too, Mark Seaton and Jeff Permanian from JTR, those guys are always more than welcome to come. They do make it to some events, and other events they don't make it to. It just depends on their availability. I understand that I'm good friends with both of them now, but they obviously got families and they got businesses and stuff going on. And now Jeff isn't nearly as close to me as he used to be when he moved from Wisconsin to South Carolina. So he did make it to last year's event, which was awesome. And Mark Seaton's made it to the last couple of events. Jeff's made it to a few events. So I'm not sure. Probably know, a couple of weeks right before the event if those two will be in attendance. They're certainly, very knowledgeable. It isn't like a sales pitch or anything like that. Those guys are not out here trying to push their products and that. They're both extreme hobbyists themselves, and they like to just come out and hang out with everybody for the day. So, it's cool to have those guys around for people that just have questions or some insight on, the JTR products or Seaton Sound products, or just, some of their insights from being in the industry for a very long time. So Oprah Winfrey, good morning. Still strange to me that I get to say good morning to Oprah Winfrey. Certainly appreciate you coming on the chat, brother. For everybody watching now or watching later, if you are planning on attending, as of right now, we have 48 slots available. You have to get in contact with me somehow to guarantee a spot. Like I said, we're going to do 60 people this year, starting at 10:30. I am located in Bourbonnais, Illinois, which is roughly an hour south of Chicago. We've pretty much covered a lot of the states over the last couple of years of people flying in or driving in pretty much from everywhere. If you're coming from afar, make sure that you check in with me first, just to make sure that we do have, some availability. Like last year, there was a lot of people that wanted to come. And like I said, we felt terrible about it, but right now we have 48 slots available. So 12 have already been guaranteed taken, just with people that I've mentioned and other people that are just helping me kind of put the event together, because it is a lot of people to deal with, like I said. So time slots starting at 10:30. Reach out to me either through, we could, on our Facebook. There's a lot of different ways you can reach out to me. Just make sure that you get a confirmation back from me saying that I have you down and for a time slot. And the time slot isn't, hey, you show up at this time and you have to leave by this time. It's just for the showing up time. The first year I did this, it was kind of a shit show. So then we went to time slots. So for, like you say, if you show up at 10:30 in the morning, I don't care if you stay all day and all night, until 7, 8 o'clock at night. That isn't what the time slot's for. It's just for the arrivals, only because people showing up at 10:30, and then we'll do 11:30, 12:30, 2, whatever the exact time slots are going to be. We're still in the process of working at it. It's just to kind of handle the inflow of people, and I just don't have 40, 50, 60 people showing up at my door at 10:30 that Saturday morning. I've tried to, we run demos all day in the theater and 2-channel setup, and got a new experience this year for people as well that we'll chat about here in a few moments. So if you come at 10:30, or if you come at 2, if you come at 4, that doesn't really matter. You're more than welcome to stay as long as you like, because I do want people to be able to meet other people and to hang out. It's just for doing the demos and that. And just for us to meet everybody and kind of chat with everybody initially. It's easier for us to deal with if 6 people or 8 people are showing up every hour instead of 20 people or 30 people, 40 people showing up at once. So that's the only reason why the time slots are. It's you don't have to leave at any certain time. So it isn't, hey, you're just coming for an hour and get out of our house. It isn't anything like that. So anyways, like I said, reach out to me. There's a few different ways you can do that. if we're friends on Facebook, you can certainly shoot me a private message, be like, hey, I want to, come to the event. I'll shoot you the details. At some point, I'll make a like I do every year, a Facebook group of everybody just attending, so everybody can kind of get to know each other, or we'll just share updates on stuff going on. You could shoot me a message at the Living It Podcast with Scott Cat Facebook group. You can even shoot me an email for our podcast, Living It with Scott Cat at gmail.com. So either email me or shoot me a message on our Facebook group, or shoot me a personal message on my Facebook. Just at some point, you have to get a hold of me and just be like, hey, I'd like to attend. And then I can let you know what time slots are available, whatever works best for you. And then we'll just go from there. So like I said, we're going to do 60 people this year. So this is our 4th year trying to make it the best experience that we can with as many people that we can. Like I said, it's an absolutely free event. It's just everybody come and hang out for the day. I'll talk about the experiences that I kind of just offer. The main goal of all of this, though, is to just get people united in the hobby. It's kind of funny that when I first started doing this, people couldn't even Kat couldn't believe that that this hobby draws. In my mind, it brings people out of their basements or out of their media rooms, from just kind of hanging out with themselves, or maybe a friend, or maybe their wife or their husband or whatever. It brings people together. In the first year that I did this, people were like, I got nobody around me that gets into this, or, not even anybody to talk to. I might have one person or 2 people I met online. Nobody understands the obsession or understands the hobby or gets me. I just, and that was kind of how that I felt. So I started reaching out to more people, and then going to their homes and hanging out with them, or them coming over here. And like I said, the first year I did it, Kat goes, nobody's going to want to come over and listen to your radio, or why are you going to somebody's house to listen to the radio? That seems strange. And then when she's seen like people coming together and hanging out for the day and laughing and having a drink, or just, and then now it's a huge community for sure. And that's the whole point of the whole event. It isn't to, obviously there's no money to be made in it for me. It was just, I built a lot of friendships throughout the years, and I wanted to hang out with everybody and share my journey with people and go experience other people's journeys. So now it's nice seeing, other people do that same thing. Yeah, Oprah Winfrey says, dude, I don't have friends that get into home theater. And that was a lot of it, because so not to get off track about the event, but how it all pretty much started with me is when I started getting like the Klipsch Ultra setup. People wanted to experience that, and I had that for a long time. And then when the PB16s came out, I pre-ordered those before they were released, and I was one of the newer people to have them. And PSA, and people would always reach out to me like, hey man, I'd love to just come out and check out like the PB16 or the Power Sound Audio or even the GTR. And as I've just, built a system over the years, and it would always be like 2 or 3 people here, a couple people there. But every time they come out, people would always end up hanging out for like 2 or 3 hours. And it came to a point that we would run some demos. And then after, say, a half hour or 45 minutes or an hour, but then we always found ourselves sitting there chatting for an extra hour just about the hobby and stuff like that. And I thought, man, this is really cool. I want to do this on a larger scale. Now, Michael and Ryan have taken that to a whole new, completely level with Mwave, making that, they got people flying in from other countries. We've had guests from other countries as well too, but those boys are doing what I'm doing, but to a much larger, incredible scale, which I can't wait for Mwave this year. But so anyway, that's just that's what this, it isn't just about the gear. It's about just people hanging out. And it's funny because last year at the event, we had 20, 30 people in the house, and we had 20 or 25 people standing outside. They were standing outside just so they could talk, and people are showing pictures of their builds, and people exchanging emails, or they're exchanging phone numbers. And I thought that's what this is all about. Got everybody out of their basement, come out to hang out, talk about the hobby, have a good time. And, we've gotten such great positive responses every single year. So that's why we continue to do the event. So now for the experiences, going to try to keep this somewhat not like an hour-long video, somewhat kind of short and sweet, just so when people look up this event, they kind of get the gist of what's going on. Our normal programming will go back, like I said, Wednesday, Kat and I will be back on, and next Friday night we'll be back on our normal date and time with Buckeye Amps. But for the experiences that I pretty much are going to offer this year, which, like I said, is going to be May 11th, Saturday, May 11th. So if you plan on attending, like I said, please, you have to reach out to me in some way. Email, private message in our Facebook group. Just, you have to let me know and send me your name and your number and a way for us to keep in touch. Just because, so we do a lot of planning and just try to, for food and drinks and just for occupancy, we're going to try our best to keep it right around 60 people this year. So, if you've been here before, you're certainly more than welcome to come again. If you're new, you're encouraged, certainly to come and just maybe check out some stuff you haven't been able to before. This isn't about big systems or small systems. It isn't about if you got $1,000 setup or $1 million setup. It's got nothing to do with that. I'm just share my personal gear with everybody. But more than that, I'm just giving a place for people to hang out and talk about it. So everybody's welcome. Even if you don't have a theater, like, hey, I'm looking to build a theater, or, I think the coolest thing that I have to offer here is that when we first moved in this house, we just kind of took a crappy old basement and we remodeled the whole house ourselves. But we split the basement in half and built a kids' room on one side, and I did the theater on the other. I'm not in a large room, 14 by 16 feet, roughly. And I feel that a lot of people have a similar size space maybe in their home that they're not using, or it's not getting used for something, very worthwhile. So I'm not in a large room. So people are, they enjoy the experience for sure. But what I think people enjoy even more is like, well, I have a room that is close to this size. I had no idea that I could build an experience in it. Like, I always thought it was too small, or, I didn't think I could do a projector in there. So, in my personal room, which I feel is on the smaller side, I got a 132-inch screen with 4 seats, and you can build yourself, a very nice experience in a room of that size. So, just going to try to keep up with the comments too. They are all soundbar lovers. I told my wife's cousin he's too boomy. He said, sounds fine to me. Yeah. And that's the thing too. And I'm going to do future episodes and future videos on that too, for people. A lot of people, still just watch movies streaming through, like a 60 or 70-inch TV, and that's absolutely fine. But I think that if people take the next step and maybe even just get a low budget or used receiver with a couple of speakers and not even spend a ton of money, that they can really improve just the whole movie experience. And it just brings whole new life to movie. A couple of people that I've just helped, like set up their setups, or just been like, hey, you need to just spend even a few hundred or maybe just a tad more. And they're like, hey, I got to rewatch all my movies again. And yeah, that's certainly for a whole nother episode. We're going to get into all of that. So sorry, I'm trying to entertain everybody, certainly. But task at hand at the moment. 10:30 a.m. will be the start time. All the events pretty much run all day. We run demos all day in the theater, and the 2-channel setup in the living room as well. And then this year I got a new experience I'm going to set up in the garage. And so basically, let's go through the experiences and the equipment that I'm going to offer. So in the theater, pretty much we'll be in a 14 by 16 foot room, my personal theater. 4 seats, 132-inch screen that I built myself with an older JVC projector, the 590. It's been calibrated. Those beautiful pictures. It's the only reason I'll move up to a laser. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. It's just I've seen the lasers and they're certainly amazing. I still love my projector too. So it's So I don't know my direction with that. But anyway, so my experience would be the JVC 590 projector, 132-inch screen, 4 seats, roughly be sitting, your eyes will be about 11 feet away from the screen. That's a viewing angle that I certainly enjoy. All JTR speakers now on the bed layer, 5 228s, which is left, center, right surround, left surround. And then, about a month ago or a month and a half ago, something like that, I added the JTR HT110s as the back surround. So now we're all JTR speakers for the main channels. I'm currently still using the Klipsch Pro 8-inch in ceilings for Atmos. If that'll change by Mwave, I'm not sure, because my whole ceiling does need to be redone, which I've talked about before. I don't know if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to have the time. I got a lot of big projects going on at work that I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that done. So anyway, it'll probably be the JTR, my main speakers, the main 7 with the Klipsch Pro 8-inch in ceilings, and then the 7 JTR Captivator 6000s, which pretty much are the 4000s, but I've had the amps all upgraded when I bought them to the 220 volt 6000 watt RMS versions. So in my room, that makes for a total of 14 18s from JTR, each one seeing about 3000 watt RMS. I run 2 of the talls, I run 2 of the sofa table models, and I also run 3 of the LP models. Just different box configurations to fit around my room. All the same drivers, all the same amplifiers, all the same box tune. They're all measured identical. It was just like a Tetris thing that I had to do in my room. Like I said, I'm not in a very big room, so it certainly took a lot of planning to make everything make sense. A lot of people, they're like, oh, that's overkill, that's stupid or whatever, and that's fine. I don't really care what people think, but my whole purpose on my current build was to be over the top and kind of overkill. That's what I enjoy sometimes, and that's what I wanted to do with this setup. So that's what I wanted to bring. So that's what you experience there. A lot of the demos will be ran right around reference with the subs hot, and then I don't know, every hour I run an extreme demo because some people do want to experience that. And for the extreme experiences, there's hearing protection provided, or you can bring your own. Some people use it, some people don't, but we'll run a music or a video clip or something, in the high 140s, low 150 dB range for the people that just want to experience, that craziness, that impact. And then, we run like some 10 hertz, 11 hertz stuff because people want to experience that as well. So, but for the majority of it, it is right around reference. Subs a little bit hotter. It's a system that's built for an intense experience. So for the people that are coming out to it, that's what a lot of the demos will be. You're not going to be with your ears bleeding nonstop. It isn't like that, but it is more on the intense side for the people that want to experience that. Each seat also has a butt kicker LFE bolted to the recliners. So there's 4 of them, 1 for each seat. That also have a speaker power 6000 powering them, so 1500 watts each of them. Everything's tied together with multiple mini DSPs that's been calibrated by myself with custom house curves that I do. So it's just pretty much whatever the experience that I've built for myself, I'm just trying to share with other people. Some people absolutely love it, some people hate it, some people leave the room saying it makes them sick. So that's just a heads up for everybody. That's usually each demo runs around 20 minutes. I'll build a custom demo clip on the Zapedi, picking 5 or 6 random clips from popular movies, older movies, newer movies, just whatever everybody's feeling at the time. And that pretty much runs on loop all day and people exchange in the room. I'll be using the Anthem processor again this year, the AVM 70. I do use ARC. I do all the subwoofer calibrations myself, so you'll experience that. Like I said, everything will be in 4K HDR, all ripped files from disk, so it's all bit for bit. So the picture and the audio will be just as good as disk. it's just easier to do those rip demo files. And that's, my buddy Mark G certainly helped with all of that. He's good with doing demo clips and stuff like that. So shout out to him. So that's the experience that we're offering downstairs. And I'm still using my Rotel amps, Rotel 1095 and 1080. So it's powering to the JTR, to all the JTR stuff. They get around 350 watts per channel RMS. And then the Atmos speakers are powered off of a Sunfire amplifier, which is 200 by 5. I only use 4 of those speakers, obviously, for 4 Atmos. So it'll be like 350 times 7 and then 400 times 4. I'm sorry, 200 times 4 for the ceiling. So that's just what I kind of use to power it. The room, I run 8 dedicated 220 volt lines to feed all the LFE. Each subwoofer has their own dedicated line. And then I use an identical amp that pushes the butt kicker. So there's 8 220 volt lines feeding for the bass and LFE. And then 2 dedicated 20 amp lines to feed the projector, and the 3 power amps and preamp and PS5 and just in the seats and all that other stuff. So that's just kind of a basic rundown of what our theater experience is. Let me hit up the comments quick. Edward, you sent me a message on Facebook. All right, brother, I will certainly be going through that. I see I already got a few messages. I will certainly be going through those a little bit later this morning. Tango, what's up, brother? Late Happy New Year from Denmark. Certainly glad to have you on, man. I know we miss each other sometimes just because there is a huge time difference between here and Denmark, man. It's always a pleasure to have you. So happy you're part of the community. Happy New Year all from Mark Fox. Hey, thanks, brother. Mark is one of our Patreons. Certainly appreciate the additional support, brother. All of our subscribers, Patreons, everything, man. You guys are making all of this possible. Certainly glad that you guys are here hanging out with us. So for the second experience, that's the 2-channel experience, which I added on, was it last year, the year before? Anyway, that's the RTJ experience, where I purchased the RTJ Super Stack, or, the 7.5 foot tall monsters, what we call them. Kat fell in love with them, so we bought them. I bought them as a gift to her. I know, try to be a supportive fiance. So what we wanted to do in the living room, which obviously that wasn't our plan. There was supposed to be no speakers through the rest of the house until we auditioned RTJs and we fell in love with them. But short story is, now they live in our family room and they are part of our experience. That when people come over, I've had people fly in actually, which like kind of blew my mind that they just want to check those out, because there's not many places that you can check those out. But they've provided the best 2-channel experience that we've ever experienced. That's why we bought them. So that experience is pretty much set up in our living room, which is a pretty standard family room, fireplace and a couch. So when we set those speakers up, I did do GA. There's not a lot of sound proofing or deadening or room acoustic treatments in that room, because that wasn't the purpose of those. What we wanted to do was take a spot. Sorry, I just got back from Vegas. Now my sinuses are driving me crazy. So we wanted, because we're a very music-driven family, and on our channel we share a lot of movie and music clips and stuff like that. So we wanted to add that good music to our entertaining area where we have friends over, families hanging out. So, but we did change the room around a lot. We switched all heavy draped curtains. We got a big area rug. We went to like an all fabric couch. I put GIK treatments behind the speakers. So we didn't want to completely deaden the room. I like that it's still a lively room, and it certainly sounds really good with like live music and that, which is what we listen to a lot. So so for people that don't know, that's the RTJ 410s, which is the center section where there's each channel has 410s, and then the big compression driver in the middle with the horn, which was like 21-inch by 21-inch horn. And then there is a sealed 18-inch sub on the bottom, another sealed 18-inch subwoofer at the top, making a 7.5 foot tall speaker. Each subwoofer, so there's 4 18s, 2 towards the floor, 2 towards the ceiling. Each one of those sees 2400 watt RMS from the RTJ amplifiers that come with that package. And then the center section, I'm running that off of a Cherry, off a digital amplifier company, King Cherry, which pushes, I think it was 400 watts times 2, which is absolutely plenty for that room. It's actually quite unbelievable that 4 sealed 18s and only 400 times 2 going to the middle sections, that it plays as loud, as clean as it does. It's absolute. I still find it insane, and we got those speakers like 2 years ago, and it still blows me away. And the center sections are rated at like 2,000 watt RMS, so if I ever feel a need for more, I can certainly bump the power up quite a bit on those. So we stream through a Blue Sound node in that setup with a SMSL SU9 high-res DAC, and then we use Cubos as a high-def streamer. So that's the experience in the living room pretty much all day. We just play high-res files so people can just check out the sound stage, check out the clarity, the dynamic range that those speakers have to offer, and then every once in a while, we'll go crazy and people want to experience, what it can do. So it's a lot of just real world experiences in the theater and in that room, with brief, extreme experiences mixed in as well. Because you got to realize when you're trying to cater to 60 people on preferences, everybody comes for something different. People come because they want to see what they look like, or they want to see what they sound like, or they want to see what they're capable of. Some people listen to rock, some people listen to rap, some people listen to classical. So there's a huge mix that we try to cater to everybody, for sure. But it's all completely random. So you might step in at one moment and you're like, oh, I don't listen to this music. This is terrible. This ain't loud enough, or this is way too loud. So just come hang out for a little bit, and you'll certainly probably be able to catch something that you really enjoy. And, and that's what it's all about. Is we obviously all have different personalities and different tastes. I'm just trying to cater to all that. So Kat's not with me this morning. She's actually still sleeping. We got in super late last night. But she is a huge, huge help on this event. She preps for the event, beforehand, helps with everybody, gets everybody like checked in and introduced, and, getting people to meet each other. When we first started these events, she was cooking all the food and stuff like that. Now the events are just getting larger. So I do provide lunch at this. Last year, we used to just order a bunch of pizzas and stuff. I was like, let's do something a little different. So last year we had a taco truck come, and they just made fresh food for everybody for lunch for like an hour or two out in front of my house. And it was just easier because some people are lactose intolerant. Some people don't like this. Some people don't like that. So, and then it was the cleanup too, because you have 40, 50, 60 people run through your house. It's certainly a task. So hiring a third party company to come, or second party, or what parties are we on right now? I don't even know. I haven't had much sleep myself. So the event, there'll be food provided, obviously drinks and stuff all throughout the day, and then lunch will be provided that day. I don't know. It hasn't been set up at the vendor yet, but around like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll pull up, they'll cook lunch for everybody. So that's my theater experience. That's 2-channel experience that covers lunch. Now, the third experience that's going to be new for this year has been added for a couple of reasons. And this will actually be stuff that I don't own. Everything else we've bought and we own, and it's, part of our home. So like the theater stuff and the 2-channel stuff is all ours. So I won't say a complaint, but maybe a concern or a comment that people were leaving was, man, I wish I could just check out something that was a little more practical. I'm either new to the hobby, or, I built my experiences for me, which might be extreme to some people, other people it's not, but they're like, oh, the theater's cool. I like the size of the room, but, I'll never put 7 subwoofers, or I'm not going to do 11-channel Atmos with 7 subwoofers in that room. So that was cool to check out, but it's not very real world to me. And then in the 2-channel setup, people are like, yeah, I'm not going to buy 8 foot tall speakers, put in my living room with 4 18s. It was a cool experience. It's still just not very practical to me, which when Kat and we sat back after the events, and it was like, I need to provide something that is more, I don't know, just kind of a more basic entryway into the hobby, possibly, or just something that would appeal to other people that are coming. So I reached out to Jeff from JTR and I said, how would you feel about sending me a set of speakers, for the event? And then, after the event, I'll just send them back to you. And Jeff's always a good player, with the hobby. And plus Tony from JTR will be here as well. So what we're going to do, not exactly sure on the model yet, but it'll either be a set of JTR 210s or a set of JTR 212s. Probably going to be the 212s, but I'm just going to do a very simple. I'm going to kind of pipe and drape off the garage for an area and then put maybe 6 seats or 8 seats out there. And we're going to set the speakers up and we're going to do a very simple 2-channel setup, like the simplest 2-channel setup you could possibly do. So in the garage, it'll be a pair of the JTR speakers, amplification, not exactly sure yet. Talking to a couple people that might want to send their amps out to kind of showcase them for this little 2-channel setup. And then we're just going to use like a Blue Sound Node streamer that'll just use its standard DAC. I use multiple Blue Sounds in my house. The one in the theater, I use the Blue Sound, but I use a high-res SMSL DAC, and I also use that same setup. I bought a duplicate Blue Sound and that same high-res DAC for the 2-channel setup, but I want to do something even simpler for the garage. So it'll be a pair of JTR speakers with an amp that's maybe like 400 watts per channel, and then a Blue Sound feeding directly into that off of the stock DAC. So to me, that should provide a very, an amazing experience with, some very basic components. I don't think I can make it much simpler than that. And it should be able to provide a nice, and we'll play, a lot of different music. We'll build some kind of playlist, that loops like every 30 minutes or something that'll cover stuff from female voices, male voices, piano, just so people can check out a more basic set. Because like I said, a lot of people, I think a lot of people just want to come out and experience something that it can get you into that part of the hobby cheaper, or maybe it's more wife friendly because the speakers aren't as big, or some people don't want to be hardcore enthusiasts. They're like, hey, I just want a really nice set of speakers because we really enjoy music. I don't need all the extra bells and whistles. I just want something that sounds good and that'll last me for a long time. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer that I won't actually own that stuff, and that'll be my first time providing something. What people need to understand, this whole channel is community driven. I didn't, building the YouTube channel with Kat and I, us doing that stuff together, it's a challenge, but it's fun and we have a good time with that together. But this whole channel and my events and that are all just 100% community driven. Nobody's giving me any money, but like, oh, say this or say that. It's people, if there's people that you want me to bring on the channel to talk to, I brought like 10 special guests on already. I just reach out to people. Some people want to play ball, some people don't, which is fine. Last week with Chris Seymour was an absolute blast. Chris is a great guy. When I reached out to him, I was like, man, people want to talk about projector screens and stuff. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm in. Same thing with Dylan from Buckeye Amps coming up, same thing. So, but people were, like I said, pretty much the response was like, man, you provide some awesome experiences, not very practical for the average enthusiast, or especially someone just getting into it. It's a lot to take in. So that's just going to be a simple 2-channel setup that I think is, we'll be honest, none of it's cheap. It's not like you go to Best Buy and just drop a couple $100, but it's a cheaper entrance to the higher end stuff. Like Blue Sound isn't crazy expensive, and like a Buckeye amplifier or something like that isn't crazy expensive, and even like the JTR 210s or 212s aren't crazy expensive. The price tag might look a little high, but when you realize the parts that are put into them and how much they cost, there's certainly there is a bargain in that price. So And I think people will appreciate that they can just sit down. I mean, they can experience obviously everything we have to experience, and then they can just sit down and be like, man, now I understand what the hype is about having a good set of speakers, or listening to high res music, or listening to an amplifier that provides clean power. And I just think that will be a good experience to add to my experience. So hopefully we get good feedback from that, because I wouldn't have an issue with doing something similar like that every year. So I don't know, just trying something new. So so just to be clear, there'll be 3 experiences at our home, May 11th, starting at 10:30 in the morning. If you are planning on attending, you have to reach out to me and get a confirmation back from me, whether it's email, Facebook, our Facebook group. And like I said, at some point over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to build a separate Bass Brings Us Together group, like I do every year, just so everybody that's attending that is on Facebook. Not all the guys attending have Facebook, because guys from AVS, or just people that that are in the hobby or the industry that just don't do social media. But I do build it for the people that are on Facebook. So just so the guys can kind of get to meet each other, they ask questions, everybody kind of get to know each other before they come out. So the 3 experiences will be the theater, the JTR experience in the basement with all the subs and the Atmos, and we do music and movie clips, the 2-channel experience in our living room, and then now the more basic, very minimalistic. I was just trying to keep it as super minimum as possible. And it's gonna be in my garage, so it'll be no room treatments. So what I feel is people just looking to add some music into their everyday life, because something the issue that I have, especially with my home theater, is it doesn't get used nearly as much as I would like to. It's downstairs. You got to fire everything up. You got to, everything's got to be just exactly right. And you got to be in the right mood. I mean, at least me personally, the 2-channel setup in our living room gets used pretty much every single day on a daily basis. And I think that people are looking for that. Well, what can I add to my normal living space that I can use daily or weekly? And that helps justify the price, and just trying to look for a more affordable, minimalistic option that people can certainly check out. So just trying to make sure that I covered everything. Oh, I missed some comments over here. Living It with Scott Cat podcast about Mwave. I had an idea I forgot to mention, but with all your demos and stuff, why don't you bring your gaming chair? Didn't you have your driving setup? Well, Tango, and just to clear this up, my event isn't the Mwave event. The Mwave event, which Ryan and Youthman put together, Michael Stevens, that's in Kansas City, and that's like a huge, that's a huge demonstration of multiple vendors, and like 1,000 people or more. I got my event is the Rusted El Camino event. Those guys are the Ferrari event for sure. But what's good is my event will be before theirs. So for the people coming, they'll be, if you're enjoying my events, then you certainly enjoy Mwave. So why not promote that too with high-end surround sound too? Well, I don't have the room. I do have a gaming chair set up and stuff like that, but literally, I don't know, our house is like around like 2,200 square feet. You get 40, 50, 60 people in this place. I got no room for nothing else, man. And now that we're even taking up the garage with this different 2-channel setup that we're going to do, as the years go on, every year we refine it a little bit. We, take in what people are saying about it. We try to make little changes here and there, but the average family-oriented system, yeah, that's exactly what that's exactly what we're trying to show in the garage. Is like, do you want to get into this maybe on a little higher end scale of what you're used to, but not $1 million? That's kind of what we're going to try to do with that. The FedEx man. Man, I got Oprah Winfrey and the FedEx man in here today. Thanks for joining, brother. I am glad you're speaking about this. I think a lot of rooms would benefit from hearing a 212 or 215 center channel. Yeah, the 212s that you'll hear in the 2-channel setup. The good thing is the compression driver that's going to be used in that 212. People will be able to understand how clear and how vocal and how amazing that compression driver sounds. So if you enjoy that, and that's a good thing that I hear about, like the 228s I use in the theater and the RTJs upstairs, is people are really taken aback by how clean and clear the vocals are. So definitely the 212s or 215s work amazing as center channels just because they use that same compression driver. So yeah, definitely. Tango, I did mean at Mwave, but I didn't know you did when I thought about it, one of the Youthman's podcasts. Yeah, my if there's any confusion on that, I'm glad you brought this up, Tango, is my event's just a personal home event that I throw in my home. Just over the years, meaning, a bunch of people, I've been in the hobby my whole life. It was just a once a year thing for people that want to come out and enjoy meeting other people, experiencing different things. The Mwave event, I mean, is that's like a huge production. That's multiple days in a huge, like, convention center with, multiple, industries coming together to put that. Mwave is a very large event. So, but I could understand some confusion there because me and Michael do talk about both of our events, and mine's in May, which, is just right before the Mwave event coming up. So, excited to meet a lot of you guys too at my event or Mwave's event. Certainly it's cool to check out the gear and check out demos and listen to stuff, but I certainly enjoy just hanging out with everybody and having a beer, talking the hobby with everybody, experiencing other people's systems or gear that I've never experienced, or people coming to experience stuff at our house. If there's any other questions, just shoot me a message, shoot me an email. Trying to just answer anything that anybody has. So May 11th, 10:30 a.m. start my house. Once again, we're in Bourbonnais, which is about an hour south of Chicago. Last year we had quite a few people that flew in and stayed. We have multiple hotels and stuff that are, within like 5-7 minutes away from our house. So there's options, just reach out if you have any questions. So once again, let me just share the different places you can get a hold of us at. The name of the event, obviously, Bass Brings Us Together. If you're not part of our Facebook group, you can ask questions on there. Let us know you're coming. Just make sure that you get a confirmation back from us. You private message me. You can shoot us an email. Just make sure they get confirmation back. So next Wednesday, the beautiful Catherine will be back on for our Living It with Scott and Kat podcast. So please tune in for that, where we will be talking about our Vegas trip we just got back from. What am I doing here? And then next Friday night, we will be back with Dylan from Buckeye Amps. That is an episode that we were supposed to do a couple of weeks ago, but Dylan had something come up. So we are redoing that next Friday. Got some new cool stuff coming up. And for the Patreon members or the people that are becoming or have became, we're going to start a monthly thing talking about movie demos, talking about movies, old, new. So that's got something new for Patreon coming up at the very beginning of February, that once a month I'm going to come on, or Kat and I are going to come on and talk about movies and do movie reviews and stuff like that. We've had quite a few people ask us about that. So, really trying to bring something special for the Patreon members. So if you guys are getting into this, certainly subscribe. It just kind of brings the community together a little bit more. And I will see everybody later on. Like I said, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. I hope you guys can make it to this year's events. May 11th, Bass Brings Us Together 2024. Everything is on the roll, man. Things are getting set up. So certainly look forward to it. Peace out, and I'll see you guys later.